Can a human-first philosophy survive in one of the most competitive corners of the law, especially as AI reshapes how firms operate? I'm Jack Newton, and welcome to a new season of Matters, a podcast exploring the intersection of law, technology, and the business of running a successful firm. In this new season, we continue the conversation with the visionaries and innovators redefining the modern legal profession. We're kicking things off with a conversation with Bob Simon, founder of Justice Team and co-founder of Justice HQ. Bob has built a powerhouse personal injury practice, transitioning from a solo practitioner to managing a team of over 30 lawyers. Here's my conversation with Bob. Bob, thanks for joining me this morning. We're here at Rogers Arena watching one of the morning skates for the Canucks, and it's great to have you here. How cool is this?
This is pretty awesome. You know, I always wanted to be on a show in a hockey arena, so this is like checking a box.
That off the box.
box.
So maybe just to start off, I know you've got a really interesting partnership with the LA Kings.
Yep.
We at Clio were really excited to partner with the Canucks and become their first ever away jersey sponsor over the course of this season.
It's a big one.
And the response to that has been incredible. I frankly have been surprised by how positive and how noticed that sponsorship has been. But I know you've been seeing a lot of success with your LA Kings partnership as well. I'd love to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, so like the opportunity is presented to us. We know, the Kings live a lot in our neighborhood where we live in Manhattan Beach, and it's like a community franchise for another. It's not like, they have a real culture fit with like the people there. So we're like, yeah, why not? We go to a lot of the games, we know the folks, and we don't do a lot of like direct to consumer marketing. So that wasn't the play. It was more just, let's just do something fun because we're doing it anyway. And then we started being like, well, what else could we do that's fun? We have a large social media engagement. So we're like, well, what if the Kings could repost some of the funny stuff that we do?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll do that. I was like, oh, really? Well, so we try to do a lot of fun. Like my brother's face and I are behind the penalty box with missing teeth, and that gets a lot of attention. So we like to have some weird brand awareness.
Yeah, and that's got a lot of traction. That plays, right?
It does.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we're looking forward to watching the Kings and the Canucks play tonight. We'll be taking both of our respective teams out to a box here, and I'm looking forward to soaking that up. Maybe we can talk for a minute about team dynamics.
Yep.
And, a great hockey team, you see it every day. It's about the right ingredients, the right team, the right set of skills coming together to win a game. What's that look like in a law firm? Talk to me about how you've built a cohesive, high-performing team.
Chemistry is extremely important, and you have to have a team that works together. We do everything in teams at our law firm. We have probably 30 lawyers. It started with just me, but that's where we are. We try a lot of cases. We're currently in one right now. 2 of our trial lawyers are there that work very well together, and then they have a team of support that are virtual that are able to do that. Building a team is not easy, but it takes the leadership top to bottom to be able to do it. You have to have the ability to know everybody in your company. I know it's hard once you get past like the 100-person mark. It is really hard to know everybody, but even to celebrate the little wins that they have and call them out in front of everybody for something they did well, right? People find a lot of value in just that personal recognition. And then inspiring and really letting other people be leaders. I think one thing that we've done better than other firms where, you have that named law partner that's the main trial lawyer. There's so much ego tied to that.
Yeah. That
they can't let that ego go. They have to be on it, standing in front of every photo that's taken for the firm. They have to be the one trying the big cases. And I had a different mindset of let's recruit really good folks and then empower them to be that position. So if you see a lot of stuff that we do, I try, like we rebranded from my firm name to just Justice Team because I wanted to have other people have the ability to take center stage. And we've had some very talented lawyers go and start their own firms, which we encourage. That's why we have other things that we do. But people always say, would you rather, I can't believe so-and-so left. I was like, well, I encourage them to leave, right? Because like at a certain point,
you're giving them a platform to grow. And
correct.
It's something we talk about at Clio a lot, which is, hey, we want to prepare you for the next chapter of your career.
Correct.
Whether that's at Clio or the next place, but you're going to grow while you're here.
Yeah.
And we're going to give you the tools to thrive over the long term.
And we still work on cases together with a lot of lawyers that left our firm. We still collaborate. We see each other all the time. It's a pretty small community in doing, consumer injury trial cases. I mean, that's what it is. But it's you have to come from a good place. People know if you're inauthentic in leadership. People know, like I've seen a few leaders that are just non-existent during times of like tragedy or hard times. Like COVID is a perfect example. A lot of leaders just didn't reach out and check on their staff or check on their team. Like you can't do that.
That's what they need you most.
That's what they need most. Just checking in, just sending a text message, or if you're on Slack or Teams or whatever it is, just to see how they're doing. It goes a long way.
So tell me about your growth journey. Your approach to teamwork, your approach to building your firm has been pretty incredible. I would love to just hear the trajectory of the firm.
So started with just me, and then wearing every single hat. I mean, you know, the startup journey, same thing as a law firm and same thing with my other companies, but doing everything from mailroom to writing your own letters to filing your own stuff. And half my day was just like scanning in the mail and then putting into the folder where it needs to go and naming it and then having an action item tied to it. This was 2009 or 10. And then started to get so busy by bringing in cases and marketing that I brought in my twin brother to form our partnership. And then we just started growing naturally. It's like we had so many cases and success. Well, let's hire for this need. We went with a human first hire. I never care where people, I hardly look at a resume. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care who your parents were. Like if you can connect to human beings and you want to work, like there's a place for you at our firm, hands down. Like so many people that, like we have people that are law firm that are some of our best lawyers that went to an unaccredited law school, and they're one of the best lawyers that I know, right? But we always took that people first mentality, hire talent, give them the tools that they need to thrive. And some people have been there the entire time, you know, life employees. Some people leave, but would you rather invest in somebody and they leave, or you don't and they stay?
Yeah.
Right. And I'm a big believer in that. And a lot of other law firm owners are like, Bob, why do you promote all your other lawyers? They're going to leave.
And other people notice that.
Yes.
They notice you're helping support other people other than just yourself.
Correct.
You're not trying to do everything in service of your own success. You're giving a launching pad for other people.
And this is like, we had a town hall the other day for some of the fire victims and had some people from local politics on and some people that are boots on the ground, just educating people on their rights. And somebody was like, hey, I've heard of these two other firms. I'm thinking about signing with them for these. Like, what are your thoughts on that during town hall? And I was like, look, they're great. I'll tell you if they're not great. I was like, I know like her specifically, and I know that firm. I was like, they're going to give you great representation, because when you hire a lawyer, you're hiring a partner. And for people, when we're dealing with loss, you're like going through this journey with somebody, and you're like, your lawyer is your confidant, your general counsel, your therapist. So you'd really have to have somebody that you connect with. But there are a lot of bad lawyers out there, but the bad lawyers usually concentrate on one thing: money.
Right. So tell me more about that filter that you use. You talk about a human first, people first lawyer. You're obviously trying to hone in on what motivates them, but how do you get hiring right? What are you looking for? What are the attributes that help you?
So because we were known for cultivating younger people out of law school, giving them the opportunity to shine and giving opportunities to try cases and things, we were in a blessed position where a lot of people reach out to us looking to be at our firm, to have that launch pad. So we couldn't hire everybody. So that's kind of why one of the reasons we started Justice HQ was to be able to show them how to start their firm, still work on cases, and grow. But it is a little challenging doing it on a massive scale at your law firm anyway, like, because you only have so much time dedicated towards mentorship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing people need is mentorship. So whenever somebody comes into the door, I pretty much get a good pulse check on, are they a good human being or not? And our people that interview in our HR can do that too. They usually go through a series of interviews with our team. And when our partners and I chat, it's the number one thing is, are they a culture fit here? Right? And then you can look at their social media. We can usually know friends of friends. And you know pretty well, like, is this a culture fit? Like, if that box
is that a feeling, or are there values oriented questions that you ask? How quantitative can you get about that?
So, I mean, you can get a really good feeling from people's social media. You really do. And then just asking them.
So you're looking at their Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's one thing. When we have interviews, we have all that stuff pulled already and be able to see. And I pretty much know everybody in the legal industry. So ask so-and-so if they know so-and-so to get a good.
The interview is done before they show up.
Yes. And no, but then it's
lawyers,
like,
right?
answer the questions you kind of ask are like, what would excite you to be here?
Yeah.
And we're looking for people that, like, what's your story? Like, what inspires you? Why do you want to do this type of work? And you want to weed out those people that are just, well, you can make a lot of money doing this, right? You need to weed that out. Everybody that has a really good story about why they're passionate about that, if they have that passion and their culture fit, you can teach a lot of the other stuff. You really can. But sometimes you're looking for a more senior position, somebody more seasoned. But again, are they a culture fit? Can they work remotely? Can they use systems? Like, we go through some of those things because most of our firm is remote. But except for when we're in trial, you're in person. But yeah, and there's different skill sets for lawyers. Like, if we're hiring for a position that's someone that wants to try cases as opposed to somebody that is our litigators, the ones that are taking the depositions, running point, and doing those things, it's two different skill sets. It's like operator versus it's almost like sales.
Yeah.
Trial lawyers are like salesmen. I mean, that's what I did, right? I mean, you're selling to a jury.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. So you also take a really holistic approach to how you build this incubator for successful lawyers of the future. You've got co-working spaces. Even though you're virtual, you make a really deliberate investment in creating in-person connectivity.
Yep.
Walk through your approach and thinking around that.
One of the things I always thought is, why are law firms so expensive? Why are they a barrier entry point for consumers? I mean, we work on contingency fee where we get paid a percentage, but then I see some of the costs associated with other firms where they're charging them for all of these crazy things. And I was like, well, why should they bear the cost of that? Because whatever. And I still also think lawyers shouldn't be billing so much per hour anymore. Should be more flat fee retainers with AI, which we could talk about, and stuff like that. They never teach you the actual skill sets in law school, how to run and operate your firm. They don't teach you the business acumen. They don't actually teach you how to practice in that actual practice area, right? So I wanted to create it's almost like YPO, which is a high level professional organization, meets like an incubator in the tech world, where you could put everybody together, where you have mentors, on-demand mentorship, access to the best across the nation. You have the ability to have small groups, workshops, and our new platform, vendors are in there too. So you can have the specialists from Clio are on the same platform, can start a weekly stand-up small group discussion, best use cases, or here's what's new, but also to promote your events. Like, I wanted lawyers to choose their own adventure, to have the ability to not have too long in our industry. It was the old guard that called who was getting the speaking spots at all the conferences, right? Who was getting highlighted, who's writing the articles. We were like, no, let's do this differently. If you want to have the opportunity to speak, here's the platform for you to do it, right? If you want to have a mentorship group, here it is. And there's a lot of lawyers that are really good at operating their law firms, and a lot of lawyers that don't know how to do that. So I've seen just this awesome powder keg of success where it's like, we have a lawyer in Georgia that knows how to run EOS for lawyers that's teaching all these other young law firms how to set up their systems. And if you maximize operations, you can help a lot more people. So, I started by helping one client at a time, and as a firm, hundreds of clients at a time. And if you do it this way, you're helping like thousands and thousands of clients at a time.
So in seeing so many young lawyers go through this journey, what do you think the single biggest missing skill set or area they need to up level on to be successful is?
The biggest lawyer miss that I see is their house is not in order. They don't have a good operating system. They're not forward thinking. They're like, I'm just going to be a lawyer and do my work and do this. You can't do that. You have to go into it saying, this is my case management system. This is what I'm doing for marketing. I have a plan for growth. And if you want to plan to be that lawyer that's in the courtroom, you need a plan to have an operator, somebody else do those things for you so you can do what you're good at. Too often I see lawyers that just try to do all of this and they are not able to do the thing that they're best at, that they're passionate about, because they didn't.
Or a lot of lawyers think that's enough, that being a great lawyer is going to lead to having a successful law practice. And there's so much more you need to wrap that in to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a great lawyer, nobody can find you. What good is it? If you're a great lawyer and you're operating systems and you don't go back to clients, nothing's organized, how good is that, right?
So let's spend some time. Bob, you've done an amazing job, I think, in thinking carefully about technology, thinking about your marketing strategy, thinking about the systems that can help your firm grow while you're asleep, while you're on vacation. How do you set up the system for sustainability and growth?
And you have to set your firm up when you set it up, it's going to be the infrastructure for growth. So I have a lot of lawyers reach out to me and we help them start their own firm. And like, where do I start? Do I need to do this website? Do I need to do SEO? And I'm like, unless you're spending like 10, 20,000 a month on SEO, it's not worth it for you. Here's grassroots marketing. But the first thing I say, just get a website. It doesn't have to be fancy. It's a credibility page if somebody's looking up. And then make sure that that form fill or that chat bot is filling directly into a place. And that place is your CRM. We use Clio Grow for that. So every point of contact we have, whether it's a phone call that's recorded, is going directly into Clio Grow. And this is something you could set up as a solo, and it's not that expensive, but that is your bedrock, because as you grow, every single contact of somebody that's come in there is another cross-marketing opportunity. It's a prior client, right? But it's all living within your CRM, and all the automations happen from there. So I think if lawyers take the time just to learn, simple marketing could be selfie video that goes directly through your website or directly through a call to action into your CRM. People are shocked at how many cases I get from social media where lawyers are paying, tens of millions a year on advertising marketing, and we do it mostly with media and a cell phone, right?
So it doesn't need to be expensive.
Doesn't, no. And lawyers think they have to do things this way or their traditional way. Just pick up your cell phone, create good content, come from a place of like helping somebody or giving out information, and then you gain the credibility and trust of folks. And if they want to hire you, they hire you. And if you're not the specialist, you can find the specialist and still co-counsel and still earn a fee off of that, right? That's the mantra that we're pushing out there. So, but with the systems in order, you can track all of those things. It all goes into one uniform system. That's usually where I tell people to start. And then as you grow.
So you need a source of truth. Where are you storing all your data, all your leads? You can track your marketing spend. You can track your unpaid spend. Where are you generating leads from?
Yep.
What are the other pieces of the puzzle that you
need to have? So the next thing, you got to have somebody that understands operations, and it's gonna be somebody part-time. Some people use offshore folks, virtual assistants to grow like that.
Maybe demystify operations.
It's the rock bed to every law firm. It's a rock bed to every business. You need to have a really, really good operator in there that is optimizing every system, that's vetting products, that are making sure that they're integrated, that are making sure that your people are using those systems. Like we spend a lot on technology and artificial intelligence and products, and we require our people to use them because it makes it more efficient and not go back to the old way of just putting pen to paper or just writing out a Word document. Like in our game where we have to be super efficient because we're on a contingency, right? We don't bill per time, so you have to be really efficient, and we encourage that. But I think lawyers they overthink a lot of stuff, and I don't let perfection stand in the way of moving forward. If you get it wrong, you make a mistake, learn from it.
Better to iterate
Correct.
than analysis paralysis that you see people get trapped in.
So true.
Yeah, especially lawyers.
Lawyers overthink. And like I have this, some lawyers will I get reached out to advice all the time, whether it's in Justice HQ or personally. And I'm thinking, and I asked the guy one time, I was like, how many other people did you ask the same question to? And he was like, oh, well, 10 other people. I was like, did all the 10 other people say the same thing? He's like, well, yeah. I was like, so why did you ask 9 or 8 other people the same question? Yeah. You're overthinking it. You wasted a whole day.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody told you the correct answer.
You could have made a decision in an hour that you spent a day or two.
Yeah.
What makes a good operator? How do you find these people?
I actually think it's better to find an operator that's not in the legal space to start, because you have to treat a law firm as a business, and a lot of people do not do that. And whenever I have operators outside of law come and look at a law firm, they're always like, what the hell's going on here? It's like, your systems are just whack. And then they take conventional business operations and implement them. So some people think that you as the lawyer, as the managing partner, have to be that operator. Not really that way.
And in fact, maybe you shouldn't be.
You shouldn't be, yeah.
It's one of the tragedies, I think, around how lawyers are taught in law school, or not taught, as the case might be, where this stuff is just not covered. Practice management, CRM.
That's crazy.
The operations of a law firm, how to run billing, just all the basic table stakes stuff you need to run a successful law firm. I wish,
and I told so many law schools this, they should have a requirement where they teach you operating systems and how all that works, how to operate your client trust account.
Yeah.
Like,
it could be a boot camp, 1 week. Yeah. It doesn't need to be intensive, but if you're coming out of law school totally ignorant on all those areas, you're going to make mistakes.
Yes.
And there are a lot of unforced errors that lawyers make because they don't get trained in this stuff. So I think the way you're approaching almost building an apprenticeship program is
Yes.
really
And the
really
thing,
interesting.
you can also there's a lot of companies out there that have staffing agencies or virtual assistants that are trained on things like my executive assistant, she's overseas, and one of the reasons I chose her is she was a Clio specialist. She went through the training already. So we were looking for somebody that understood the systems that I'm currently using in the different companies.
So she had that out of the gate.
Out the gate.
Interesting.
They're trained on all of the systems that we're currently using. And then as a person, like as a business owner, you don't have to log in constantly and look at metrics. You're just getting updates from your operations, right? And I think that's if you spend too much time in the weeds, you'll never grow.
You do an amazing job of staying on top of technology, understanding what additional tools you can pull into your practice. I know we've partnered on attorney share, making you able to refer out business to other law firms. I know you're leveraging AI in a variety of ways at your firm. Maybe beyond Clio, can you walk through some of the technology stack you've got in your firm, how you're leveraging it?
The one thing I always thought, think of a problem you need solved, and if there's a product that does that for you, try to implement and play with it. The mailroom is one that it was always a big pain point. And we literally had teams, and I started this way, scanning in the mail, naming it, OCRing it, because you want to be OCR'd when it goes to the system. Foundation AI is a company that we've been using, and others where they're essentially your mailroom for you. They put them in the folders they need to be. They do the naming conventions. You still need humans to check to make sure that it's accurate and continue to teach it. That's been fantastic. And now the next evolution of it is, can we get intelligence off of those documents thereafter? We use other ones, like we use Even Up for the medical records, the medical chronologies, the demand letters. The issue is, and every day we have this workflow, and I teach lawyers how to do this, and out of law school, look how easy it is to use your cell phone to generate business. And I do videos, it goes directly to my Clio Grow. From there, if it's a case I specialize in, we take that intake, we may take that case. If it's not, we now have that integration to push into attorney share, partner with the best person for that case, still make a referral co-counsel fee, and track it all. So when lawyers are worried about how am I going to get business, here's an avenue. On the other side is you can also just sit on, because you could sit on your Clio and be updated when new cases are coming in. Like literally I'm sitting here and I'm seeing new cases pop into my Apple Watch. This didn't exist when I started. Like you had to go out there and beg, cheat, and steal to try to get cases, right? Out on the street. But now there's platforms that'll tee it up for you. You just have to be a really good lawyer or known to be a really good lawyer to do it. We use AI stuff to cut up our media. That's never perfect, but it does go a long way to drop it in and have it pull out some engaging posts.
Maybe in the courtroom, you had an interesting post the other day about using VR in the courtroom. So, above and beyond AI, you've got some pretty cool use cases for VR.
Yeah. We'd use a lot of AI just there at the counsel table because you need information fast. You need case analysis fast if you're arguing motions, and you got to be able to go through the file fast or do medical chronologies. But a few years ago, I was trying a case against a very large auto manufacturer, a product defect case. And when you're going up against those fellows, they have an unlimited checkbook on the other side. They had one expert they spent $2 million on, just one in that case. And they came with a whole VR set to have the jury put on to replicate the terrain that my client was driving on, and put them there during the time to try to prove their case and their version. It never came in because we got it excluded. The world will be there, but there's so much, this was 6 or 5 years ago. There's so much uncertainty with that because all the jurors have to see the same thing at the same time. It has to be accurate, right? How are you going to be able to do all of that, right? It may get there. With a judge or a bench trial, you have one person looking, so you know what they're looking at, but that could be manipulated so many ways. It's just ripe for a lot. That's the same thing when you see a lot of these TV shows and movies where the jury goes on a site inspection. Rare. That never happens. There's so much logistics because, again, you have to see the same thing at the same time. And what if you interact with somebody touches something? It's very difficult. But VR's coming. People are doing virtual trials right now.
What's that look like? Elaborate. Is that with all the participants remote, but actually in VR?
Imagine everybody on a big Zoom, all the jurors, the judge, the witness, the lawyers, and everybody's remote. This is happening right now, and people are doing it very well. And this is where you need to know technology, because you have to be able to pull up that exhibit to be able to mark it quickly. And on our side of the Delta, like, we're very sophisticated on technology. So the jury will hold it against you if you're not technology. Like, you're wasting their time because you can't pull something up or you don't know how to do something.
The expectation is you're competent.
Yeah, and they're like,
technology.
Every time all the jurors come up to after, it's like, your guys' presentation was top notch. Like, we appreciate it. You guys were efficient. Thank you. And it's one of the themes I always do in trial. Like, would you guys hold it against us if we like get through this very quickly, get you home to your families, and like one witness proves one fact? I'm like, would you hold it against somebody if they were like deliberately drawing it out? And they always say, well, thank you for making that efficient. But yeah, you have to be on top of that stuff with virtual trials. Like, one of my good friends yesterday got a over $100 million verdict on a virtual trial against toxins in a school up in Washington, not too far from here, actually. All virtual.
Wow.
Yeah. But there's some technology, like, if the jurors are on Zoom and you can see them, it's a public proceeding, yes. I've heard people want to implement face recognition on the jurors to see how they're feeling when evidence is coming in. I mean, that's wild. Some people do what's called shadow juries, where they will find, after you pick your jury, they find a group of people that fit the profile of every single person on the jury.
Really?
And they watch the trial somewhere else, like in your mock courtroom or wherever it is, and you get feedback from them in like real time. It's almost like, dude, it's crazy. Like, in these high stake trials, but you can also overthink it.
Yeah.
You know?
So maybe, while we're on the topic of courtrooms, let's talk about some of the human aspects of being effective in the courtroom. You talk a lot about how do you effectively deploy even, moments of silence. How do you think about being really deliberate in your delivery? Even some of the tactics you were mentioning a minute ago around helping the jury feel like you're on their side and empathizing with them.
I like to tell them, credibility is not given, it's earned. And I usually tell that in an opening statement. I say, I'm going to walk you through what I think the law and evidence will show. And by the end of this case, if you think if this is a bunch of BS and my client's a liar, cheating, a fraud, you can give them 0. You can call me out and say, you know what, you misled us. But the same goes true for the other side of the table, right? So I like to make that commitment that we're going to prove to you every single thing that we say. And then when I go back to closing arguments, I show exactly what I did. So look, we did this, we proved it. Remember when they said this, that wasn't true. Why were we misleading you? So I think that's a big trust thing, like the dare,
How about with opposing counsel? Do you try to work with opposing counsel and other lawyers in a different way than what you see as the norm?
I am let's work together with the other side mentality. It should not be the most stressful trials are whenever you have two lawyers that won't work together on either side, that hate each other, and everything's a fight.
Which is what a lot of cases deteriorate.
Yes,
into.
And that's why they get to trial, because the two lawyers don't like each other, and sometimes the law firm's the barrier to resolution. I've been in trial with one lawyer 4 times, and he's just so hard to work with on everything's a fight. Filing motions with the judge, like disputing what the speed limit is. It's like, man, why are we doing this? But the jury hates it at the end too, because they know that they're deliberately having their time wasted. But it just causes too much stress. If you have opposing counsel you get along with, you can stipulate to a lot of things to speed up the trial and get the things that are at issue. And that's the way that it should be.
Why do you think that approach, the more conflict-oriented approach, is the norm?
Because lawyers sometimes feel like they have to be right. I went to law school. This is adversarial. We're on the other side of the Delta. This is my time to shine. I mean, you should read some of these emails that I see from other lawyers. It's crazy. And it's like, why?
It's like every email's a battle.
Exactly.
To be won. Yeah.
Yes. And it's what, like, no, it's that doesn't play out. And then as soon as they get in a room together, it's like, oh, we can maybe be cool. It's like, well, I always tell lawyers, hey man, let's get together. If we're going to try this case, let's go sit at a bar, a coffee shop, whatever, and just talk about what issues we can resolve and see what happens. And I wish if people did that more, more cases would be resolved, and you would get to the issue of cases and wouldn't cost the judicial system so much.
What kind of tactics do you use to de-escalate the other side almost, when you see them come in looking for that fight, looking to get their pound of flesh?
Every time I come to a case, because I get brought in a lot by other firms to litigate or try them, starts with the email chain, welcome them on. You can see the adversarial stuff down below, and it's like y'all come in, it's like, hey dudes, what's up? Like, I mean, literally, I'll just talk like this in an email and say things like, oh, I see
Instantly
so.
disarm.
Yeah, I'll look up their profiles. Oh, I see so and so. Like, oh, you guys got little kids. It's like, I know I know you're probably at a soccer game or Saturday or something. So let's not talk this weekend. But if you get a chance, like, give me a buzz. Look forward to working with you guys.
They're
And
probably
like,
just staring at their phone
like,
and
why
wondering
is
what
this
just
happening?
happened.
Yeah. But I think that takes taking the guard off, and then I always like in this situation, you always get
And do you see usually like some reciprocity there?
yes,
Is it
and right away, like
just a gear shift?
yeah, and sometimes some lawyers can't help themselves, but most of the time they'll pick up the phone and they'll talk to you, and then they move the wheel. Like I teach all of our lawyers at the firm this way, and people are always shocked if we have so many counsel on the other side referring us cases, right? And we move cases much faster, we settle them faster because we can just have an honest conversation with the other side and say, this is where we see the value. You may agree or disagree. Let's get into a mediation, try to resolve it, rather than just beating our chest for 2 years and wasting our clients' time and money.
So another dimension I think you do things differently, Bob, is you seem to be able to strike a great work-life balance, and you're connected with your family, you're present with your family. I've had the chance to visit your house. I see that firsthand. Talk me through how you've developed that, because that's another thing I'd say is
yeah, and that's you have
rare.
to be very, very deliberate with it. By the way, every guest comes to my house and we have whiskey or bourbon together. I have those Scotch rocks that are 20-sided dice. It's a 20-sided die.
Yeah.
And you get to roll. And Jack Newton has scored the highest. I think he rolled you could score 42 dice. It was like a 38 or a 39. And no one's beat it. So everyone's right around 20 every time.
My wife tells me I'm lucky. So
yeah, mine does too. But I always said I want to take my kids to school. I want to be able to pick them up. The weekends are for my kids. And I look at the calendar throughout the year, and it's very like I'm a visual, so I have usually 4 months in a row on a whiteboard where I can see everything coming up. We have a family one too, so we can see every single thing, every kid's activity. If I have if it's a trial, if it's a deposition, if it's something with the tech companies or it's a speaking engagements, it's all there so people can see it, and then we plan around it. So it's like my fixed meetings don't happen until after 9:15, because then I know I got my kids to school, I get home, probably got a quick workout in, and then I could take that first meeting. And then at like 1:30, I know I would like to be available to pick up one of my kids. The other one gets out at 2:30. So generally I break for meetings around that time and then pick up towards the end. But you have to be very deliberate about it, and you have to have a great partner. Like my wife is the best, and you have to have it planned out. I try to take I travel a lot like you do for work, but I try to space it out where I do a lot of either day trips. Like I'm nuts. Sometimes I'll fly like 4-hour flights and come back. Because I like to be home, especially on the weekends. But like we're January. Long travel month for me. I got a lot of stuff that we got to do. February, family travel stuff. Take them on a short trip. Doesn't matter what it is, be together. March, hard firm stuff, hard travel. April, back to family. So I'm trying to do that back and forth. And then just really plan out and be deliberate about it. And lawyers try to take on too much and earn too much of the pie, not realizing the only value is your time with your loved ones. And they're not going to remember that case you won an extra $1 million on because you were working 80 hours a week. They're going to know, did dad make the show? Right.
Yeah.
Lawyers have to learn how to delegate. They have to learn how to share the wealth, the fees, and the cases, because if you do that, you can have higher quality of life, and it brings back many multiples on many levels. And I have found the loneliest lawyers are some of the wealthiest lawyers, because that's all they do, and that's all that they think about, and they never took that deliberate time for work-life balance.
Is this something you feel like you've always been successful at, or did you find yourself kind of upside down in priorities?
Look, being a business owner, like we own multiple businesses. You do. I mean, you're wearing so many different hats. It's not like you can never not be working. You're always kind of on call for something, right? So my phone's always on. If something has to happen, my wife knows I got to take this call right now or have to deal with this situation, jump in and out. But I think
that's a key point too, by the way, because I think I talked about the term work-life balance, and I find that people are most successful at that actually think about work-life blend. How do I stay on? How do I still be present to my family, but still making sure I'm not holding things up with my business or my businesses, as the case might be.
Yeah.
How do you approach doing that?
So people know that if they need me urgently, like they can ping. My SMS is usually the fast because it'll ping me and I can see it.
Yeah.
I usually just check all of our chats really quickly to see if there's anything that I'm immediately needed for. Then I know, right? Because if something, even away from my family, I could do that. I could literally look at my phone for 5 minutes and be able to decide, do I need to take care of this or not? Back to family time.
Yeah.
So I do have to have those check-ins. Like people say I'm so obsessive with responsiveness that it's a sickness, but I think people should be.
You are super responsive, by the way. I'm always incredibly impressed at how.
And also, I can text really fast because I do the swipe text.
Swipe. That's
text.
That's one of Bob's tricks. Okay.
I have my AI bot that I built based on me that I'm putting into our Slack channel so that it actually answers questions like me with my voice. So it's pretty, on the app it is, but that's the evolution of it, to be omnipresent.
Yeah.
Omnibot. No, but I think the biggest thing that time management, it's a skill. Like you probably were growing up, working multiple jobs, going to school, it was always structured. And then playing sports. And when I went to law school, it was the first time that I didn't have, they make you take this pledge, you can't work while you're in your first year of law school. And I wasn't playing the sports. So it was the first time I was just going to school.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is easy. Like you just do this for 4 hours a day and study. Okay, cool, great. And then it's time management. So I just block off when I'm going to do stuff.
Yeah.
And the other thing with like the, work-life balance or blend is whenever we're going to conferences or speaking events and things like this, I try to see, like my wife will come with me to some, and sometimes it's good for my three little girls to go too.
Right.
To have them immersed into that. And it's
just get a glimpse into what's dad's world about. And I'm able to do the same thing with my wife sometimes. Like you can turn a conference into a bit of a getaway and tag on a weekend or whatever. You got to find those small ways of integrating the two a bit.
Yeah, go for a day, do your thing, and then family goes off 3 days or 2 days and then come back, whatever it is. But again, you have to be strategic. You got to look at it. Like you probably get asked to speak at so many things and you have to find a way. Does this fit my calendar? Does this make sense? Does this fit into my family time?
It'd be
great for business.
You want.
Correct. Yeah. But does it make sense? So it's like learning how to say no.
That's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
You still want to maintain that relationship that, they asked, like this past week, somebody asked me, they texted me this morning to go speak in Oklahoma City to set something up. And then also like New Orleans over Mardi Gras to come speak at their convention. It's like, well, both sound great if I had unlimited time, and I would like to go to both places. So we'll find out to see if it fits. But
so maybe let's talk about your social media profile. Let's talk about your approach to marketing, because we talked earlier about the fact that you can drive huge results and huge impacts without a multi-million-dollar marketing budget.
Correct.
And I think you've been incredibly successful at showing what authentic, genuine social media presence, as well as some just, I think, clever initiatives that you've launched have been very productive. Yeah. So maybe give us just a walkthrough of your overall social media profile, where you're present, what you found to be most productive, and then maybe some of the tactics that you've used.
Yeah, this is a whole like science to this, but if you come from a place where you just putting out content is that help people and with practical tips. So usually I have I think 3 or 4 pillars that I try to concentrate on. And one is work-life balance, where I'm trying to teach lawyers, here's us with our family, here's how you're able to do this. Yeah. Here's how I'm able to also, when we're in this Spanish islands, I'm still taking expert depositions because you could still do this in a virtual world. You can still be the kid. Like I try to show that. One is like the technology stuff that we're doing. So I like to educate people on that. I do a lot of activism, so I try to stay in that lane. Yeah. And then like the lawyer stuff. So there's usually those things. And then the bourbon.
You think about the bourbon of proof. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I like those things. So I generally like each one of those things. So it's easy to create content around that. And I do a lot of stories. Those are just happening on the fly. I do have now like a media team that will help with some of the posts and the more like produced ones. If it's selfie video stuff, it's me doing it. Yeah. I am pretty good at cutting up videos and doing it, but it's just a time thing too.
How did you get into this? Was this something that was really organic, or How did you kind of build your following over time? How did you find content clicked?
When we started, it was mid-2010s, right? Getting into media.
It's very early in your overall.
So in our journey, because we were the new young firm on the block. We were getting big trial results. People are like, who are these guys? We're like, let's just do funny shit. So we started doing like, I don't know, just like saying what we dares and depositions and like, here's things that we did that were fun, and people loved it. And then all these young lawyers are reaching out. I was like, God, why can't we do this? And I was like, well, why aren't you doing this? But again, it has to go back to that source of truth, because every single touch point everything goes directly into my Clio grow.
Right.
And then even if they have pixels, you can read, there's a whole thing behind it. But social media, I tell lawyers that you can literally start, we saw with the fire cases that just happened. I was just putting out how-to videos on people. Here's where you get supplies. Here's a list of pro bono lawyers we put together. Let us know what you need in the community. If you're doing drop-offs, every lawyer's drop them off here. We're doing trucks. We'll be able to go out there to deliver. If you need housing, we did all these practical how-tos. And from that, it was just all the people from the community are now reaching out for legal help just from that. While these lawyers are coming in from out of town and spending millions and millions of dollars just to try to like sign up people that were in a tragedy. And it's selfie videos.
Yeah, that's what's got traction.
Yeah.
But that's where, I mean, maybe would love to hear your perspective on where things are going. Because it feels like the more traditional advertising channels are becoming less and less effective. And it's these authentic online.
Personal brand of a human being. That human element is going to be, that's going to carry the day. It's no longer, I mean, people are getting more sophisticated. They're going to look up and see who you are. They're going to want to know your story, and they're going to be attached to a brand. So like the lawyers that do a lot of direct consumer marketing, they'll tell you how much it is a race that somebody calls you to talk to that client to get them signed up because they're going to the next lawyer on Google.
Yeah.
Because they're just searching like injury lawyer wherever. So they don't know a specific lawyer, but if they're searching for Jack Newton Clio and they get to Jack Newton, guess what? They're not going to call somebody else.
Yeah.
Same thing with lawyers. If they're looking for a specific person, and I think one lawyer, Ben Crump, does a great job with this. Very sophisticated. He has a big marketing team behind him, but everybody wants Ben Crump. He's everywhere. He's an activist. They will search for him and no one else. So I think that's where lawyers are going to go as well. And a lot of businesses are just going to be tied to a brand rather than a faceless thing.
So this idea of being authentic, building a personal brand, being yourself is another thing a lot of lawyers seem to struggle with, right? Where I think there's this perception, and again, I think it's maybe being indoctrinated in law school that you've got to be professional, you've got to, live out this image of what people think a lawyer should look like. And I hear lawyers getting hung up about even, should I have a LinkedIn profile?
So
never mind, should I be on Instagram or TikTok?
It depends on if some lawyers that just want to put their heads down and work, maybe that's the life that they want, right? That's fine. But there's lawyers that want to be able to, if you're a business owner, if you own your own law firm and if you don't have a LinkedIn profile or a social media profile that at least says where to contact you if you have a case or your website, you're losing money. And you're not helping the clients you should be helping. You have to put your, I don't know, you got to be a little bit shameless with it, to be honest with you. Because most lawyers don't have a robust marketing spend, but they have a cell phone and they could create a social media account and they put out content for free.
What have you learned over the years because you've been doing social for over a decade now. I'm sure you've had false starts, some things that didn't work, stuff that you've doubled down on because it is working. What's that evolution look like?
So I found that you have to be where the people you want to represent are. So we do some stuff on TikTok. I never log in, but I found that TikTok is a platform that doesn't sync directly. Like I can't send things right back to Clio. I could do it with Instagram, things like that, but call to action's weird. It's like clientele you probably never want to represent. It's not that bucket. It's like
interesting. So you see a different demographic,
correct,
on TikTok versus Instagram.
So if people like my content when I'm putting out on Instagram, it's probably people that I want to work with or I want to represent. Because if they're aligned with those values, we're good.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. I see people that advertise. Their advertising is giant check, get a lot of money. Guess what kind of clients you're going to get? That's all that they care about, and they're never going to be happy. So be careful how you're branding and how you're marketing stuff, because that's the kind of people you're going to work with.
So Bob, tell me about the playbook you've got coming out, which is about trying injury cases defeating the degeneration defense?
Yeah, so long time coming, and I try a lot of disc injury, spine fusion, discectomy cases and get a lot of big results. And I teach this all the time. And during COVID, I just wrote a book about it. And then Trial Guides, who's a big publisher on practical how-to books and stuff, published it. I literally show everybody how to take a case from inception all the way to trial, stuff that we've talked about here, from jury selection to discovery techniques to deposition stuff. And then I have a couple chapters written by medical doctors that go over the medicine, and then I tell medicine for lawyers to teach them on how to do those things.
What are some of the key learnings you've had and conveying the book around the playbook? What makes for a successful case?
First of all, like I hammer this over and over again, it's the human element. It's storytelling, understanding what your clients lost and be able to spend so much time with them that you know it so well. And the other thing is embracing people that have a pre-existing condition, because every single person has degeneration in their spine, and too many lawyers try to prove this rear-end car crash caused this acute injury in a disc. That's usually not the case. It's usually just an aggravation of a disc in somebody's spine that would have been asymptomatic for life.
Right.
And it teaches you how to form those questions to make it a theme in your case and show the jury instructions that you still win at the end if it's aggravated. And then a lot of the BS stuff that the other side does and ways to call them out. I share a bunch of outlines for depositions, my PowerPoints for trials, and then, yeah, it's pretty fun.
What are some of the biggest mistakes you see other lawyers make when they're trying personal injury cases?
That they try to do it all on their own. They don't do it on a team. And look, your job as a lawyer is to get your client the best result. And sometimes a lot of lawyers selfishly think that they're going to just go and win a lot of money because they think it's a good case and they're not the right fit for it. That's a huge disservice. I see so many lawyers go try a case and just lose it. And this case should be a 7-figure result, and they lose because they didn't want to reach out to another lawyer to say, hey, can you help me with this? I mean, there's a lot of lawyers that will do like a small fee split just to come in to try the case with you that know what they're doing. But it's that waiting till last second, thinking the cases are just going to resolve, not being prepared, and then just trying to do it yourself. Huge mistake.
Okay, Bob, what do you think the next big disruption in legal tech is going to be?
Well, I think obviously it's artificial intelligence doing a lot more and doing it faster paced. It'll be so easy for people to use in the legal field that people be intimidated by, oh my God, I can't believe it took so quickly to draft that pleading, to do this task, and then being able to do that. I think the biggest disruption now in 2025 in like our world, because we're up to speed on a lot of these products, is the AI voice recognition. AI using artificial intelligence to intake it's here, and I think it's going to be...
Do you see that as being a chatbot interface, or is this a voice interface?
This
is AI picking up the phone.
Yes. And you have to disclose that you're talking. There's a way to say it, disclose that it is. I truly believe that if you have artificial intelligence, voice recognition, it's also qualifying cases. And we have it right now with the one that we're doing is it goes right into Clio. So imagine you have AI on the phone and an operator can sit and watch these forms fill out and say, oh, this might be a really good case for us. Live transfer to a human being. But what the good thing is it weeds out those 80-90% of the calls that it is the FBI microchip me in the neck. Like, seriously, we get this call all the time. They're watching me, and then, or these cases that we will not do that are outside of our practice area.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is those are all still auto-filling, and then we could push those cases through attorney share to the specialist.
Yeah.
That's the vision, to be able to...
It's a triage system.
Correct. And we don't want our employees wasting time on the phone with things we can't help people with.
Well, the field needs this technology as well.
Yes.
You know, you've seen the results from our latest legal trends report talking about the fact that half of phone calls to law firms go unanswered.
I think it was
half
worse
of
than
emails.
I think it was worse than
It's probably
half.
worse than half.
Yeah.
We might have gotten lucky.
Yeah.
But I just think the responsiveness of the average law firm to client demand isn't where it needs to be.
And it's like that client
And even if it's
communication.
just answering the question or giving them the guidance that
Exactly.
I can't help you, but this
Your
lawyer
lawyer can.
can. And I think that's where...
And I think a lot of lawyers, that's what lawyers should embrace. It is a skill. It's a skill to know who the specialist is that can help them. Don't think it has to be you. You can find, and people love that. I mean, if I call it takes me even though I'm a lawyer, sometimes I don't know a specialist in like M&A for this specific issue. And it's like this very niche issue. That's what you got to be able to find. That's access to justice, is finding that person for that vote.
So the last year or two has been pretty incredible in terms of the pace of change, the amount of innovation happening around AI, and all sorts of other areas. What have you seen that has taken you aback and surprised you in technology? What's top of the list? I'm sure there's been a lot.
The AI deepfake video stuff is impressive. I mean, that is, and when we're talking about, like, there's like a half a second delay on these. They could have your voice. I mean, imagine all of your clients, imagine every law firm getting a voice note from Jack Newton every other week, just checking in on them. But Jack Newton never has to even leave that voice note, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
I'm sure for a lawyer, the concept is terrifying in some ways, where you can't trust what you see anymore.
Yes. And I think that's going to be the future wave of a lot of legal cases are going to be these deep fake things. Like, this is going to be huge. We're going to see how it's going to data breach. I mean, this is going to be, there's artificial intelligence that can like steal your information. I mean, somebody was teaching me this. There's cameras even here, like surveillance cameras that are on a certain system, and AI could tap into that system and be able to see and hear everything that we're doing.
Yeah. And reproduce any of our faces
Correct.
or voices. Or maybe shifting gears a bit, when we look at the client-centric law firm, I know we're both really passionate about this concept. What's one simple change you think lawyers can make to become more client-centric?
One little thing they can do is put up your client's photograph or their family, or if it's their house burned down. When you open up their file digitally, you should be able to see that.
Interesting.
That should be like a human touch point right away to ground you to realize why you're doing this.
Yeah.
And I'm big on client engagement, and like same thing with your team and people that work with you, is staying in communication.
You got to see it. Yeah.
You got to see it.
And have empathy.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of technology is going to make it easier for people to stay in constant communication with their clients or with their team, to make that a lot easier. A lot of people miss that. It's that bedside manner for which we all need to be the best at. And clients, you imagine you've hired people for stuff. If you don't hear back from them, they don't get back to you. It's the worst. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
Even if somebody emails you and says, "Hey, I got your email. I'm
goes a
wrapped
long
up.
way.
Yeah, I'm wrapped up for the next few hours. Let me get back to you." That's all you got to do.
Goes a long way.
Goes a long way. And there's AI now that can do that for you.
Yeah, that's right. I think AI has got a huge opportunity to help lawyers focus on being more human and kind of the highest value work, and automate away, the more routine parts.
Yeah, get into your emails. Like, start auto drafting emails for you. I mean, it has to start to know you really well and the stuff that's going on. Sometimes not so much on the case specific stuff, but at least getting back to people.
Yeah.
Like, it can recognize this is a new client that pinged you. Just write them back or send them a form. So,
how about with the billable hour? Is AI going to kill the billable hour?
I think so. I think people should be doing flat fee retainers and leveraging AI to help more people, and they'd end up doing better with that, have a higher quality of life. I've seen it where general counsel for companies are vetting their new lawyers and law firms on whether or not they're leveraging technology, whether or not they're using AI, because it keeps the costs down. At first, it was the aversion the other way, where is it data secure? Yeah. There's a lot of fear. Now I'm seeing it shift to like, you need to be very efficient and keep the costs down.
I've also seen the inverse, where lawyers are selecting law firms based on whether they've got good technology or not, which I think is a fascinating
And that's
shift.
what I think when you have the AI voice recognition. First, people say, well, they weren't going to want to talk to a human being. It's like, well, sometimes people might be like, hey, we're a very technology first firm, and like, we want to be able to take care of you. This is an AI chatbot. A human's going to jump in as soon as they can, but we want to start getting the information so we can help you. I'd be like, you know what? That's really cool. And it sounds like a real human being, right? We'll see.
What's one piece of advice you'd give a new PI lawyer?
Reach out to folks for mentorship, I think, is the first thing that you should always do.
How do you do that? Do you just phone up, someone you admire?
Yep.
Like
slide into people's DMs.
What do you pick up the phone for?
People are
somebody
shocked.
DMs you on Instagram?
Somebody DMs me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, wherever, and they say, hey, I'm starting my firm. Can I have 5 minutes of your time? Yeah, here's my cell. And then we'll start a text chain, and then I'll talk to them, and just that little bit. And sometimes it's, hey, here's who I know in your geographic region or your practice area. Let me put you on a text chain with them. And I've heard a lot of people tell me like, that's like changed their life.
What's the best piece of advice you'd give somebody trying to balance being a good parent with building a great law firm?
I try to educate my kids so much about what I do and why I do it so that they understand dad has to go because I'm helping them for this specific reason. My oldest daughter's now 7, and I took her with me when I was meeting some of the families and the fire victims so she could know it, so she could understand it. So it's like, and I tell them, I got to go help people for a few hours, but I will be back and be present. I try to make a commitment that after 5 o'clock, it's family time. Yes, I could do a message or two, but I do not take phone calls until they're in bed. That's the day. And on the weekends, same thing. Like, I don't set travel events. It's very rare that I travel for conferences on weekends because I try to be home that entire, spend time with them. But I think any lawyer that wants to just be deliberate like that, you can find work to do all the time. I mean, if you wanted to, you could work 24/7, you can find stuff to do. But is it productive in what your mission is? So after the kids go to sleep, you can put in an hour or two of work and answer emails. It's still going to be there.
Yeah.
Just take that commitment to be there in that
present.
moment. Be present. And it's hard. Look, man, a lot of stuff going on. Maybe there's a big thing coming up and you got to check your phone to see the issue and help.
It's just, I think your point about just being deliberate about it is key. Like, it won't happen by accident. And if you're not deliberate about it, it will get pushed to the bottom. And I think that's what too many people let happen as a matter of course.
When we travel, I try to go on a different time zone because it allows, so for instance, if you're in Europe, you're 8 or 9 hours ahead. Until like 2 or 3 p.m., the phone's not ringing, the office isn't hitting you up. It's quiet. And that allows me to have amazing family time. And then I usually do like from 2 to 5, I'm working because it's the morning stuff, get up and
Kids
go.
Can have a nap.
Exactly, right? But it's taking that kind of like being deliberate about stuff like that and showing that you can do those things, but you just got to block it out,
And maybe give us, to wrap up, a few notes on how to build community. You've done an amazing job of building a community around Justice Team, around your personal brand, around what you care about. And that's on top of running a law firm and running a bunch of other initiatives. What have you found to be
I think you have to selflessly just help people. Like, people always reach out and I was like, yeah, I'll help you. That's no problem, right? But there's so many like-minded people. And if you're together in the same chat rooms or a text chain or in the same room, it has this network amplifying effect because then they know another group of people. And then now you're in all these different networks of folks that are very like-minded that can help build that community. But it's also understanding I'm a very big, I take negative people out of my life. I have no time for it. I don't like people that are just straight takers. I'm done with that. Like, it's just, I don't want toxicity. It's just not going to be part of who we are. And even with our kids and their friends or like the parent circles, like, just don't want to be around it, right? But you got to be deliberate about that and know how to say no. And just be around good people.
And it feels like you've got a community that you put energy into and get a lot out of as well.
But you have to empower them. This is why we, at the community platform at Just HQ, people can go in, set up their own events, have people register, get it sponsored, get it PR'd. That's the type of empowerment, and have people promote it. Have other people say, hey, go to so-and-so's speaking event on wills and trusts. They're really good at it. Now you have a following based off of what your specialty is because everybody else helped drive you over there. So I just think it's going to be more and more prevalent for people to do that, but people just got to be selfless, and that's it.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining me, Bob. It's been a fantastic conversation. Looking forward to the game tonight.
Go Kings, go. Don't be a cuck. Canuck. Don't be a Canuck.
One of my biggest takeaways from Bob today was his human-first philosophy on scaling a firm. He reminded us that if you empower your team, that investment creates a ripple effect of success with lasting impact. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe wherever you listen to your shows. You can find the full show notes and links to the resources Bob mentioned at clio.com/podcast. I'm Jack Newton, and thanks for listening to Matters.